Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I think being with people makes anything a party. Thanks for coming to ours. I'm here with my good friend Amy. For years, we've spent the early morning hours running and talking together before diving into our days.
Hey, I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
My celebration was preceded by a couple little failings, and so then I get to celebrate the success.
Awesome.
So some weird thing happened. I hurt my back Friday night. I was laying in bed and all of a sudden I felt this twinge, weird kind of a stabbing pain. Well, it lasted for a few days. And so on Sunday night, I'm like, oh, I am totally fine to run. So Amy, you know, we were planning on running Monday morning. I'm texting you Monday morning saying, okay, just kidding. I'm really not up for it. Did the same thing Tuesday morning. Yes, I can exercise with my friend. And then Tuesday morning, I'm canceling. And so then Tuesday night, I got smart. And I said, I'm not going to exercise on Wednesday. I need another day. I'm still recovering. So that's my celebration, is I finally listened to my body, paid a little bit more attention to what I was actually feeling in preparation for the next morning so that I could cancel the night before rather than early the next
Well, these things are so interesting because in another situation, it could have totally been right to be like, yep, I'm going to do it and show up the next day. So it's great that you were like, nope, not this time. This time, I just need to listen. So
Totally.
That's fantastic. My other celebration is just kind of funny. So before we got on, I was telling you, like, well, I was thinking about things as I was getting my dinner ready to marinate. I started laughing because I'm like, that makes me sound like some sort of chef. I do not see myself as a chef, but my celebration is this. I was going to get something in the crock pot this morning, but I didn't because I started talking with my son and then I was just focused on then getting ready to go. So it was like around lunchtime that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't put that in the crock pot. And it's not one that I can now put in. It does need the full day. So I was like, it's fine. I'll just look at what I had planned later in the week. And there was something I could just do. I'm like, great, it'll marinate a little less time, but that's fine. And I have the stuff. Like, it was just nice. It's nice to have it be fine. And then I actually got something marinating and then it can sound like I'm a chef. So
Awesome.
Which it's kind of funny even to be having this conversation about, you know, sounding like a chef or sounding like something I don't maybe feel like I am, because I think sometimes when we're seeking to be certain things in our lives, sometimes we can really feel like an imposter in that. So I could be like, I really want to be someone who cooks dinner for my family on a regular basis. And then I don't. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not working. Or for you, it's your exercise. And I see myself as someone who exercises, or I have a desire to exercise. And then you could have let what happened this morning mean something that it didn't mean. All it meant was you hurt your back and your body needed some time. So just kind of an interesting thing that sometimes as we have a desire to seek to be something, that's like a striving kind of thing. But sometimes in the striving, get hung up on when we're not necessarily there yet. Like we haven't arrived yet. So you just have to remember that there's something in the striving about direction and that's what is important.
It is an interesting idea about the striving. I do love just even the youth theme, I feel like is strive. That has the I strive. And that's who we're becoming. That's what we're working toward, which is a really great thing. And even to notice where we are and where the gap is, right? Between where we are and where we want to be. And then what do we want to do in the middle to get there?
And maybe just don't worry so much about how far we are across the gap, because that can be self-defeating. I mean, that helps every so often to just reassess, be like, okay, where am I? Right. Yeah. But if it's too constant or done in a negative way, it can be really tricky. Are there some things that you've done to kind of explore like what you seek to be, or are there things that you want to share that you're currently seeking?
Yeah, I made a vision board this year. And as the two of us were talking about the gap, where we are now, where we want to be. And it just was like, oh, that's totally what a vision board can help with, is seeing there's a gap between where I am, where I want to be, and this is where I want to be. And now let's do something about it. And I think, of course, setting goals can also be helpful. But I do like the idea of a vision board in that it is just giving me a visual of what I want. And I just get to put my brain to work on it without even like fully all the time, like heavy duty focusing on it. I just know it's there and I want to work on it. So the other day, even one of my pictures is about ministering like the Savior. And so I'm driving around town and the thought had come, how can I minister like the Savior? And it wouldn't have popped in my mind had it not been on my mind to put on my vision board. And so I just love that as you are intentional with the goals you set or a vision board or whatever, however you choose to make some improvements, as we're intentional with that, then our brain can pull it up and then help us find ways and even ask ourselves the question, how can I be a minister right now? How can I be like the Savior?
I'd also written down vision boards. That's like totally about this, like what I seek. But it takes some time at the beginning to be intentional, like you said, to make the vision board. But then it's almost like it was on brain for a little bit, high intensity on brain because you focused in, and now you just see it. And so it's almost off brain, except it's not, but it doesn't take effort to have it be on brain, maybe, because you just have it hopefully in a place where you see it often or whatever, you have some sort of habit to look at it. And so it's just cool that it becomes something that maybe just flows a little more naturally into your day because your eyes are seeing it and your brain's taking it in. But it's not like a desperate attempt to just like, okay, I've got to do this. It just sits there in the fabric of your life. So yeah, that's really cool. I like that. I think there's some other tools as well for that to just kind of boil down what is it that I seek to be, because I wrote down goals too, because it seems like that's what goals are all about. But sometimes we set goals just all over the place. Like, well, I'm supposed to be exercising. Well, I'm supposed to be improving how I eat. Well, I'm supposed to be reading my scriptures. And so we have all these supposed tos. And so they end up somehow in our goals, but we didn't necessarily take time to be like, rewind, like who am I wanting to be? Not what do I want to do, but who do I want to be? And so at some point when we read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as part of our meeting of the moms, one thing in there is create your own mission statement. And I did. And over the years, I've been trying to create a mission statement and it never really came together, but it finally did. And I have one right over here on my wall so I can look at it. And there are things there that are just kind of all encompassing. It's an all encompassing direction for my life. And so one thing I'm striving to use it for is to regularly look at it. And when a decision comes my way, is it in line with these things in my mission statement? And is it something that's going to elevate how I'm doing those things? Or is it just adding more to my plate? So that's something I'm seeking to do. I'm not at a place where it's just part of my fabric, but I love the idea of a mission statement.
Yeah, so good. So good. I do feel like as we train our brain, as we are telling our brain things, then it can pull it out when we need it. There are some phrases that I'll tell my brain. And so then when I need it, it's there. Like, I'm okay. I can handle this. I've got me, things like that, that when I actually need them, they're there. And I think that's the same thing with the mission statement, right? You're able to read it, you've memorized it probably, and then you can pull it out when you need to.
Thanks for thinking that of me, though.
Okay,
great idea.
The process of memorizing it, maybe, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to, but it's still, in there, right? The workings are still in there with your brain.
Right. Yep.
So
yeah. But I mean, memorizing is a great idea. If that's something that could help someone just have it there. But even just looking at it often, the words come up, just like you said. Another thing that came to mind with this and goes along with what you're telling yourself is an idea that I got from Jackie from Linus at the Door. We did a podcast together for a little bit. And one of the things that she talks about is writing declarations. And declarations are a lot like what you probably heard about, like affirmations. And the joke about affirmations is, what is it? I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. But it's not like that. Instead, it's just statements that you say in the present tense that you want in your life. So it might sound something like this. I approach life with the sense of adventure, or I receive everything that comes my way as an opportunity to learn and grow. And so even though you're like, yeah, but I don't receive opportunities that way, I get cranky or whatever, it's something that it's a striving and a seeking that's how one wants to be. And then as it's in your mind, like you said, and that's what you're telling yourself, then actually those actions that go along with it start arising a little more naturally, and they're there when you need them. Any thoughts on that?
Well, and sometimes some of those can feel so not true. Like, no, I do not ever do that, right? And so I think you can also add, I want to, well, and you're really great about the whole, I want to want, right? Yep. And so I think we can easily do that, or I'm striving. Like maybe you're not always doing it, but you're working toward it. And so then maybe you can put I'm striving to see every every opportunity as a
everything that comes my way is an opportunity to learn
Yeah.
and grow. Yep. Yeah. And I love that idea of I have a desire to see it this way because sometimes that's where a person's at. And my not famous, but maybe famous with you or a couple other people I say it to, I want to want whatever it is because sometimes I'm in that phase.
Yeah.
I don't not want it and I don't want it, but I want to want it, right? I want to run a marathon, right? Something like that.
I think it really does still help our brain grasp onto the idea.
Yeah.
And really, like, just love realizing that my brain wants to be right. And so as we are putting some of those things in our brain, then it's going to show us, and then opportunities are going to come out that we can see as things will happen that we can see as an opportunity because our brain is open to that idea.
And I just start asking myself, okay, how is this an opportunity?
Yeah.
Not seeing it, but how is it? So that's even just there to think about, right?
Yeah.
Something else that goes along with declarations is something I got from the parent coaching program that my school district does and that I signed up for because I'm like, sure, we can always improve as parents. So let's find out what I learned. But it's something called the Kelly role technique. And you think about a situation, you think about what role you want to take on in that situation. So it goes along with declarations or affirmations because you might think, in my marriage, I want to be this kind of a spouse. And then you think about like, okay, well, how does that kind of a spouse act in this situation or that situation? And then you come up with maybe like a little paragraph that's a script that you can read to yourself about how you do that. You can also use it for a job, right? You can be like, well, the role I want at my job isn't the level I'm at. What I actually want is this role. Like I want to be the boss or I want to own my own business. And so then you think about like, okay, well, if I own my own business, how would I dress? I'm going to start dressing like that now when I show up at work. And how would I speak? What kind of language would I use? What kind of books would I read? What look would be on my face when I see other people? How would I greet them? And then all of a sudden, the person who is maybe, let's say someone wants to be a manager in retail, but they are the person who pushes the carts, right? So they're like the maintenance stockman kind of person. Then they can realize, okay, if I were the manager, I would greet the customers. I would thank them for being there. And they can start doing that in their current place. That's also a really powerful way to just think about what am I seeking and who do I want to be? And then how can I be that now?
Totally. And I think that's what's so empowering in that we can take action for where we are now as we are working towards something else, but it's in our control. What can I do? What's in my control to get to that other place? So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So anyway, I love those. I love pairing those. And then I think maybe we both do this, but I have some things that I strive to read every day. I don't do it every day, but often I have certain things that I just read to remind myself, these are the things that I want to do. When I sat down and was intentional, this is what I want. And so, and it's not all just about doing, it's about being as well, like how I just show up in situations. And it's amazing that then I can see opportunities for acting those things out and actually being that way.
Yeah.
Because it's in my brain. And it's the thing I'm hearing most often in my brain.
Right. You're not listening to the other chatter, the other like beating yourself up or whatever. Like that's probably a lot less because you're filling it with lots of other good things.
Right.
So good. Well, and I think as we're filling our mind with great thoughts, then we are creating some emotions that are linked with it. If you're telling yourself all of these things that you're doing pretty well and that we're working on and looking for, you're going to have more confidence and so it's going to be easier to do those things. And even with the cart pusher, right? As he's trying to act the part, then he's going to feel more confident or more empowered. And then he's going to believe he can be that. And he's going to work toward that. I just love how our thoughts really can help dictate how we perform and our actions can dictate what we believe about ourselves and how we feel.
And I think too, like, let's say the cart pusher never becomes the manager. It is possible that the effect he has on those around him is more in line with the effect he wants to have on those around him, simply because that's how it is. And I say this because I walked into a Walmart one day, and this particular Walmart has people who greet you as you come in the door. This man, oh my word. Every time I went in there, he was like this. He always had a fantastic like vest on and a bow tie, and his mustache was up, like curled up. And he had these fun glasses. I mean, and he was so friendly to people. And I'm like, I want to come to this store. And so it's amazing. It's amazing the effect we can have, even though he's just a greeter.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, then even as the greeter, as he's handling things that way, he's feeling better about who he's showing up as, right? And so then that's fun for him to go to work because of who he gets to be.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
I think as I think about the person I want to be that I'm still working on, I think love is really at the root of who I want to continue to become. I have two kids now that are out of the home. One's on a mission for just a little bit longer, one's at college, and then two in high school. And so being an empty nester is around the corner, and being a mother-in-law is around the corner. And so I am just looking toward wanting to enjoy my life as an empty nester. That is still hard for me to hold to grasp or to be excited about. And so I want to because I've always envisioned myself as a mom with my kids around, right? I hadn't ever envisioned myself as an empty nester, as a grandma, and things like that. And so it is kind of a mindset shift that I want to have because I want to enjoy every phase of my life, because there can be so much greatness in all of it and just lots of joy throughout all of it. And so that's been on my mind a little bit. And with that, with knowing about being a mother-in-law, somebody else had given me this idea, but about deciding to love your future daughter-in-law, son-in-laws, whatever, now. I can decide that already. I don't have to wait to meet them. I just could decide now, and it's going to be really awesome. And I love that idea of deciding beforehand, because it actually can foster lots more love in me and lots more acceptance in me from the very beginning. And whoever my kids decide that they want to marry, I'll support them because I love them and I care about them, right? But I love the idea of just deciding I'm going to love their spouses. And even I've been praying for their spouses from time to time. I pray for their future spouses, that their future spouses are making good decisions, and that my own kids are making good decisions so that they can be good spouses, and then to love my future in-laws.
Yep. And the thing with love is that it doesn't mean no problems will come up. It doesn't mean that none of that will come up, but it does put you in a position to enter into whatever situation with love. And that's always a better place to enter a situation from. It just prepares you for all of that.
My husband's grandpa and grandma are really great about this concept of love. They have had grandkids, well, even kids marry and divorce, grandkids marry and divorce. So step grandkids, step great grandkids, and they just are so warm and loving and welcoming. And I just love that example that they've set for us about they just love whoever comes in. I think for them too, it just feels better. If we are just choosing to love rather than judge and criticize, it's just going to feel way better. Love it.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
I was thinking about our celebrations. A lot of times celebrations can come from oh, that thing I was striving to be, I was in that moment, right? It can be super excited. And I think we just need to balance out with the striving with our reality at times, because there's going to be times when we can see I did not show up like my striving and like my desire or whatever. And just to realize that we can focus on direction and focus on what our desire to be is, even though we can celebrate those moments where I did it in that moment, to be careful not to feel like you need to go the other way. I didn't do it here and I didn't do it there and I didn't do it there. That's only helpful if you're doing just a reassessment for a minute to see how to shift a few things. It's not helpful if it's used to beat yourself up.
Yep, that's what I'd say. Yeah, if we can do it without judgment and just noticing, then yeah, let's make some changes. I didn't necessarily like how I did that. I want to do this rather than the beating up. Yeah, I totally agree. I love it.
Yeah. I also think that sometimes we can think of ourselves in a certain way, and it's tricky to change how we think of ourselves. I have just a frivolous example. I was at physical therapy today, and there's a young 20-something guy who's one of the aides there. And today it's I just see it was a cross country runner. And I just started laughing. And after a little bit, I just have to tell you why I started laughing. I was in my 30s before I ran 3 miles without stopping. And it was a goal of mine. Sometime in my life, I want to run 3 miles without stopping. And so I did a couch to 5K. And he was like, really? He's like, well, do you like to hike? And I'm like, well, and he's like, well, I mean, those boots, it snowed today. He's like, those boots, they look like hiking boots. I'm like, these are my snow boots. Just have this funny conversation. And he's like, well, I just remember that first day he walked in. I'm like, she is a hiker. She is someone who likes to hike. I'm like, you thought I was outdoorsy, didn't you? He's all, yes. And so again, I was just laughing because my husband loves to hunt and he loves to climb and he loves to ice climb and he loves to hike. Even his job is more in the outdoors. And I have appreciated the life of adventure he's given me because of those things. But I would not be like, yes, I am a hiker. In fact, I don't think you would ever find me out hiking alone. I'd want to go with a person. That could be fun, but not by myself. So it's just this funny moment, but it made me remember back when I was doing my Couch to 5K, someone said to me, "You're a runner." And I'm like, no, I am not a runner. And I'm like, well, I see you running. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. But at that time, I realized, well, why am I not a runner? I'm out running. Isn't that what a runner is? And so I realized that if I just change my sentence in my own head, like, okay, I'm a runner. That doesn't mean anything about whether I win prizes or get paid to do it. I am someone who runs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's powerful too, to realize that sometimes without even realizing it, we are doing things that we can just choose to accept as part of who we are. And we don't have to, but we can choose to bring that in. And if there's something we seek to be, we can just fill in the blank with that word. So if I am trying to run 3 miles one time in my life without stopping, I can say, I am a runner.
I think we do put ourselves in a box. I think you're totally right. Like to you, you're like, I am not a runner. And that's probably been in your mind for years. And then as somebody else is saying, no, you run though. Like, oh yeah, a definition of a runner is someone that runs. I guess that is me. Right?
I guess that is, yeah.
It is so funny how we do put ourselves in box. And sometimes we stay there. We don't even question that it actually could be a different way. Like maybe that isn't actually 100% true, that I'm not a runner. That's not true because I do run. So I must be.
Right.
Anyway, I love it. So
in fact, I run 3 days a week. I guess that's a thing. To go along with this, I love this thing that I think I heard on the Happier podcast with Gretchen Rubin. She talked about when you're starting something new, make a friend that only knows you as someone who's done that thing. Because it takes away imposter syndrome, because that's a thing to feel like maybe when you start coaching, wait, I don't know if I can say I'm a coach yet. Or I don't know, like in your very first meetings, be like, I'm a coach. You're like, well, you're my first person or whatever.
Right.
Or when I was teaching, to be like, I am a teacher and I'm hardly older than these kids. Is that what I am? But I love that idea because for me, when I started teaching, well, all my colleagues were also teachers and they knew me as a teacher. Yes, they knew it was my first year, but my students and the parents, they're like, Mrs. Rasmussen, you're a teacher, right? And for you, as you're getting clients and they see like, Lorna Adams, life coach. They're like, oh, she's a coach. Even if in the moment you're like, well, I'm a beginner, right? We don't always have to clarify and quantify. Sometimes it's helpful, but a lot of times we can just be like, yep, I am.
And here I am. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
And that was something that early on in my training that they had talked about. Like, you are a coach now. You're a coach. You get to claim it, name it, be it, right? And I think there is so much value in just deciding, who am I? Who do I want to be? All right, that's what I am. I'm working toward it. I have a desire. I'm doing what I can to do it. So good.
Yeah, and I think that's it right there. You made a choice. You chose to be a coach. Then you got training and all the other things. But the thing is that you chose to do it. You just decided this is who I am. Just a fun train of thought to think about who we seek to be and what we seek to be.
I think the other thing, and we kind of touched on it for just a second, but I think that part of even why I decided to be a coach is because I do have that desire to minister like the Savior. And for me, it's an opportunity for me to help people one-on-one and to see them where they are. I just love how the Savior is able to meet everyone where they are. And so as a coach and as a friend and a neighbor, I do want to meet people where they are. And be like the Savior in those situations and those experiences. And I just love that example of the Savior.
Well, and I love where you said like love is at your core. Is what I'm hearing is I want to meet people where they are with a heart full of love for them. Right there in that moment, not in the future when they become whatever, and not that I don't know if that's what you're saying, but that's just kind of the feeling I got from those two different pieces. And I feel like that's where any of us can have a powerful influence for good.
Yeah.
Just to lift and inspire and to help someone leave our presence thinking, you know what? I can go be what I want to be. And that's cool. It's one of the things I love about teaching, when you can see the light go on and you can see someone just that they were inspired by something to go and do and be something that they maybe didn't think was possible before.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So good.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I'm Lorna Adams. See you next week at Moms.